Hello, everyone. Welcome. Imagine if you can revolutionize how your users analyze their data and manage their business, and if you can make it so easy that anyone can do so in your organization. Welcome to this session, Enable Business Intelligence for Everyone with Amazon QuickSight Q. My name is Priya Mysore. I'm a Senior Technical Program Manager within the Amazon QuickSight team at AWS. In today's session, for the first half of the session, we'll focus on the business problem, an introduction to QuickSight Q, followed by key benefits. The second half of the session, you'll see a demo of Q in action. Businesses are generating more data in the last few years than ever before. We hear from customers frequently that it's becoming harder and harder to get meaningful insights from this data. This is a real pain point, and there aren't enough skilled resources who can build dashboards or reports on this data fast enough, which is now a key requirement in today's world. More traditional BI tools lack augmented insights. They can be difficult to scale, may lack flexible integration, and do not satisfy all use cases, and have restrictive pricing. Organizations have stated to us that they need modern BI solutions to solve this problem. Born in the cloud, Amazon QuickSight is a serverless, thus easily scalable business intelligence tool. It provides machine learning and embedding capabilities with flexible integration and cost-effective usage-based pricing. With QuickSight, users can explore data with interactive dashboards. They can automatically look for patterns and outliers using our machine learning capability, such as anomaly detection. And now, you can ask questions in natural language with our newest capability, QuickSight Q. Q is a new deep learning capability within QuickSight that uses state-of-the-art machine learning and natural language technology. Q empowers your business users to ask questions in simple natural language and get answers instantly. Now let's look at this challenge that we all see repeatedly in the BI world. In this example you see here, Amy is a business user, and she's trying to compare sales trends in California and New York, and she can't find this in the dashboard. So she calls Dan for help. Now, Dan is an engineer in the business intelligence team, and he's working through a lot of backlogs. He tells Amy, hey, can you please log a ticket? Amy insists that this is really urgent and she needs it for her planning meeting tomorrow. Dan apologizes and says, I'm so sorry, I can't get to this till end of next week. Now, if you're Amy, you're really frustrated that you don't have access to these insights. So this is where really Q comes in. With QuickSight Q, we really solve for these key benefits. As Q is truly natural language enabled, data becomes accessible to everyone in the organization. Users can ask questions about their data in simple English language. This empowers everyone with faster, actionable insights. Secondly, you can make data-driven decisions quickly. Users ask their questions and they get the answer right away in the form of a visual, without requiring any pre-built dashboards. Thirdly, you can ask questions about all of your data. So you don't have to confine to what's pre-built in a dashboard. Q really empowers you to get started on your data, and you can start in a matter of minutes. Lastly, with QuickSight Q, you know exactly what your users want. Traditionally, in the business intelligence world, people who build the dashboards and reports may not necessarily know how they're consumed. So with Q, you understand the exact questions and insights your users are looking for. With natural language, we have a few challenges we tackle. The first is the query understanding. So let's take this example. Show me weekly revenue week over week for California compared to New York in 2020. Q needs to understand that the user is actually asking for a trend of data for California and New York, which are two states, and you need to compare them side by side. And you also need to apply a filter for 2020. There are many different ways you can ask this question. Now let's look at your data. Now data can be stored in one or multiple tables. You can have an aggregate data set. You could have transactional data set. You could have overlapping columns. And data in its raw form has no semantics. It's just rows and columns. Data can be cryptic and dirty. So how do you solve for this? How does Q solve for this? Let's take a look. At a very high level, when you ask a question in QuickSight Q, like show me weekly revenue week over week for California compared to New York, Q needs to understand the intents in the question. And then it needs to take the intent of the question and first identify what data it needs to query. And then it needs to link the intent in the question to the underlying elements of the data. To accomplish this, a knowledge layer is used that describes the physical data schema, and it informs the machine learning model. And the output of the machine learning model is what we call an IR, or an intent representation. It is a SQL-like syntax that then generates the answer in the form of a visual to the end user. Now let me put it in simple terms. You ask a question, or you type in a question, and you want to know that Q understood your question. So Q restates it back and gives you an answer. And then there are things you can tweak and tune along the way to make Q's answer better. So there is a lot of work happening here with science, with technology, with machine learning, and also user experience. There is also a feedback loop experience built in between the two main personas of Q. So you have the author, who is the content creator. In today's world, the author creates dashboards, reports. And then you have the reader who consumes those dashboards and reports. In the land of Q, an author creates what's called a topic. A topic is built on a data set. Then the author enhances the topics a little bit. It provides business-friendly context and versus your database-friendly terminology. The author enhances the metadata so that your end users can understand their specific domain. So the authors explore the data, and then they share the topic with their readers. Now the readers ask questions on that topic. Authors can view all of their activity as well as feedback. And then authors go back and make the topic better by enhancing the metadata. So as you can see here, there is a closed loop feedback mechanism built in between what your users are asking and then the authors having visibility to that and making improvements to the topic, in some cases, the underlying data as well. So this experience over a period of time makes the end user experience even better. So now let's look at the two personas in more detail. What is the benefit of using QuickSight Q for your readers? So your readers are typically, or your business users, can be analysts, they're power users, they're managers, or executives. So they can ask questions in simple natural language and get answers. As you see an example there, show me top 10 customers by spend. They get the answer right away in the form of a visual. They can go back and say, I want to see it for last year. I want to see it for last month. And they can do that. And the answer comes back instantaneously. Now these answers, these questions and answers, they go beyond what's built in the dashboard. So your users really are empowered to self-serve using natural language questions. In addition, they can interact with the answers. They can change the visual types. They can go and ask further questions. So they can do a lot of interaction with these answers, and they can also provide feedback back to the author, which then helps the author make improvements to the overall experience. Now let's look at what benefits Q brings for your authors. Now your authors are BI engineers, data engineers, they could be data analysts, BI analysts, and so the authors, they add business context to the data. For example, customer can be known as company. Industry, you can also reference industry as domain or sector. So what this allows the readers to do is to be able to ask the questions in the domain language that they're familiar with. Authors know exactly what the users are asking. They have visibility to this in the user activity tab. They can see all of the questions that their users are asking along with their feedback, whether it's positive or negative. And they can address the feedback in a timely manner. They use this feedback to then further improve the Q topics, the data sets, and even dashboards. The next thing the author can do is author can provide guided questions. They can verify answers, and these become getting started questions for your readers, so they're not starting from scratch. So as you can see here, as the author learns more and more about the reader activity, he is able to fine-tune the topic and make the natural language experience even better for the end users. The author is thereby enabling self-service analytics in the organization, where every business user is able to ask questions and get insights. So now we're going to look at Q in action, shall we? Okay, what you see here is an executive dashboard for Ambient Technologies. It's a fictitious company, it sells fictitious products. And for this purpose of this demo, I'm going to assume the role of an account manager in the healthcare space. I want to know who are my top customers, what are they buying, who are my bottom customers and what are they buying, why are the sales low, and so on. I have a lot of questions. And I see some insights in the dashboard. I see my month-over-month sales trending high, my orders trending low, I've got top 25 customers, I've got some forecasting information. So this looks pretty good. But when I look at healthcare, I see that it's only 12% of my overall revenue. So let me see who my top customers in healthcare are. So I'm just going to type in or ask that question in the search bar, as you see here. Show me top 10 customers by sales for healthcare. And I'm going to look at last quarter. So now Q returns an answer in the form of a bar chart. So as you can see here, United Healthcare Group and Aetna are my top customers, followed by Anthem and Pfizer are my bottom customers. Now, if I want to look at the answer in a different visual type, I can do so. And also, if I look at the top left-hand corner, I know exactly what Q interpreted my question as. I can see top 10, I can see customer is a field, healthcare is a filter, and it's doing a sum of sales, and it is filtering for previous quarter. So I know Q understood what I asked. And I'm going to now change the visual type and look at this in a donut chart. So this gives me a different representation of the data. And as I see here, United Healthcare Group is at 30% overall revenue, Aetna 20%, and you will see here Cigna is at 3%, and then Anthem would be at 2%. So this is great. So now I want to look at, what are the products my top customers and bottom customers are buying? I want to know what's going on there. So I can now further ask you that same question. So I can ask Q, now as I'm asking question, as I'm typing in, you will see that Q recognizes a lot of information. So I'm typing in what are the sales by product. Q knows that product is a field. And I want for my top customer, United Health Group. Q understands that United Health Group is part of my data. And I want to look at my bottom customer, Anthem, and I select that. And then I'm going to ask for Pfizer as well. Now, as you see here, I want to also break this down by customer. I really want to know at the customer level what's going on. And I want to look at it for last quarter. Now, Q generated a horizontal bar chart. I want to switch this to a stacked bar chart. It's more readable. As you can see here, it jumps straight out that there are two products, which is Finance Hub and Marketing Suite. Those are the top two products for my top customer. Now, I'm looking down at Pfizer and Anthem. I don't see those products being purchased there. So there's a big opportunity for me to figure out, how I can sell those products there. Now, this is fantastic. I'm going to mark it a thumbs up. As you can see here, I can provide feedback. And now I want to look at my least profitable customers and see what's going on there. So let's see if I can ask you that question next. So I can just go ahead and type in, who are my least profitable customers? Now, as I'm typing in, you will see that Q understands profitability is part of my data. So it drops down there. And I can select that. And I want to look at it. I want to look at it for my healthcare space. So I'm going to put in that filter for healthcare. And I want to look at it just for last quarter. So now Q returns the answer. And I see Merck is really not doing so well. So I wonder why. Maybe I should look at some products and see if there's discounts being offered at Merck, perhaps. Maybe let's dive deeper there. Let me ask Q, if any discounts are being applied. So I can ask Q, show me discount. I wonder if discount is even in my data. Yep, I see discount in my data. So I can select that. And now I can look at discount by product for my customer Merck for last quarter. Interesting. Contact Matcher appears to be discounted at 50%. I wonder what's going on there. So I need to find the contact person and see and get some more information. And I can do that and find who the contact person is for that product. So I'm just going to ask you that question. Show me customer details for Merck for that particular product, Contact Matcher. So now Q gives me more information than I asked for. In addition to the customer field, I'm able to see the region, the segment, the country, the product, of course, and the discounted percentage. So I can export this to Excel, and I can call them offline and see what's going on. This is great. I'm going to mark it a thumbs up and I have a few more questions I want to ask. But before that, I want to show something. I observe something. As I click into the Q bar, I see 10 questions. The first 5 are my most recently asked questions. The bottom 5 are questions that have been verified by the author. They sort of have a check mark, which is pretty cool. Someone had looked at those questions. And also, at the right-hand corner, when I click on the ellipsis, I can get some information about the topic I'm asking questions on. This topic shows customer spend across product lines and across all geos. It also gives me a getting started list of questions that I can work with. This is fantastic. I can also look at the data fields. Here, I can see right away that I can ask questions about sales, profit, discount. I can break it down by customer, by industry, by region, by country. So I have a lot of information here that I can use to further deep dive to get additional insights. Now, I have a few more questions, or maybe a couple more questions. So let's see, I think I had the top customer, and actually I want to look at my sales by sub-territory. Let me see if I can do that. I don't know why, I just want to look at my sales by sub-territory. Now, you see here, Q doesn't understand the field subterritory. So what can we do here? I can actually search, and I can say, maybe there's another field I can relate to. It looks like subregion is probably going to give me the answer. So I can link. When Q doesn't find the right field, I can link and search and disambiguate, and now I'm able to link subterritory to subregion. Now this is really, really exciting. Now I have my top customer, United Health Group, and they bought 2 products. If I want to know how do they trend over time, how does the 2 products trend over time, I can do that. I can ask Q, show me monthly trend of sales in healthcare, and I can compare for Finance Hub, which happens to be one of the top products. I can say versus or compared to, and I can do Marketing Suite. That was the second product, and I can compare this side by side over time. Let's see how that looks in Q. As you see here now, Q generates a comparison of 2 products over time, and looking at the answer, I see there's a lot of volatility for Finance Hub. So I should keep that in mind when I'm forecasting, especially if I want to sell this product to other customers. So this is really great information to know. So last but not least, I want to know how much is United Health Group growing year over year? What is my growth increase or growth rate or growth percent? I wonder if Q would give me that answer. Let's try. So I can just simply ask, what is the growth percent in revenue year to date? I want to look at year to date, and I want to compare this to last year. And I can see that that question is commonly asked. It shows up in my dropdown. I can just select that. And now Q gives me an answer, a KPI visual that says it's 113.64%, which is pretty great. I should probably contact the salesperson and offer a reward. As you can see here, in a matter of minutes, I was able to get 6, 7, 8 additional questions answered, and I didn't have to wait for the dashboards to be built with additional views. This is really powerful. So now what I'm going to do is take you through what does it take as an author to set up this topic. As you see here, I'm logged in as an author. On the left-hand side, you see dashboards, data sets. With the introduction of Q, we see a new link called topics. Now, topic is a collection of 1 or more data sets that your users can ask questions on. There's really 5 easy steps to build a topic. The first step, you create a topic and provide it a topic name and a description. So the topic name is how your users will identify and select the topic. And they will be able to hover over and see the description. So you want to provide as much details as you can so that you and your users are clear what they're selecting. So after the topic is created, the author will get directed to a topic summary page. You'll see that in a second here. Well, first you create a data set. So when you create a topic, you do have to select the data set. So in this case, we're going to go take SaaS sales and create the topic. So once the topic is created, you're going to see a summary page. This is really the landing page for an author. There are 3 sections to this summary page. You see the suggestions at the top, and then you see a statistics, which shows the feedback and the distribution of feedback over time. And the bottom section, as you see here, is where you add your data sets. You can add a data set like we did, and you can add an additional data set as well. And you can also open up the data set card and update or add additional metadata. As you see here, I can set a default date, I can set schedule, and so on. The next thing you want to do is go to your data tab. And you want to review the fields along with their settings to improve Q's accuracy. So for instance, let's take a look at, I think, city at the top. So you can provide synonyms. City is a location or a town. And you can set the semantic types. So this tells Q what field is, what data is stored in that field. You can set it to location. Q can answer where questions. So this gives Q more input into what fields are stored, what data is stored in what fields. The next thing you want to do is exclude fields that are not relevant for search, business search. For example, contact ID, customer ID. Those are really not, people are not going to search on those fields. So you can go ahead and exclude those fields. As simple as that. So the most important thing to ensure that when you're building a topic, that you and your users have a great experience with Q. So if you can spend a little bit of time on curating the topic, it goes a long way. So now let's take a look at a measure called discount that we saw in the demo. So when you ask a question, show me discount by product, what would you want Q to do? Do you want to aggregate the discount? Do you want to do a summation? So those are some of the things that you can configure at the field level. So, right, as you see here, the default aggregation is set to average, and you can set a format as well. So these are just field configurations. Now let's look at customer dimension. When you ask, how many customers do I have? You can set the semantic type to person or organization. This tells Q, you can answer who type questions. Who had the highest sales, for example. Q will be able to know that right away. You can set the default aggregation. Do you want to do account? Do you want to do account distinct? Let's take an example. How many customers are there in healthcare? Let's just ask Q that question. So when you're asking this question, as you can see here, we've set a default aggregation of count distinct. So Q will return now a unique count of customers. It's filtered for healthcare, and you get a value of 10. Now let's try the who question I was referring to earlier. Who had the highest sales? And we can filter for a region like EMEA. And now you'll see Q automatically associates who to a customer and gives you a breakdown. So after you've done some curation, you can also add additional complexity. Like in this situation, named entity. Let's look at that as an example. Customer details. In the demo, you saw that we asked for contact details for a customer. So a named entity is a logical grouping of fields. So you can group customer and related attributes together. So you can define these in the topic configuration, as you see here. You can add country, region, product, contact name, segment, and add discount and sales as well. So this is a pretty powerful feature. So once you've curated the topic, you can also spend some time and do additional complex metadata configuration like calculations or filters. You can spend time creating those. Then you share the topic with your readers. So once you share the topic with your readers start asking questions. Now this is where it gets interesting. You see all of those questions along with the feedback in the user activity tab. So as you see here, there's a lot of questions that have been asked. We can take an example. Who had the highest sales in EMEA? You exactly see what Q did, what answer Q generated at the time the reader was asked that question. As you see here, it selected sales, region, and customer. There was no feedback given. But you could also filter this user activity by negative feedback. So let's take an example here. Show me sales forecast in EMEA. And let's see what Q returned. You are able to see at the time the user asked this question, what was the answer that Q returned. It did a sum of sales for EMEA. It did not do a forecast. So the user had provided a thumbs down, as you see in the corner, and gave some comments there. There was a commentary there. Forecasting feature is being developed. So in the meantime, how do we help the user? You can actually link the answer for this question to an existing visual in the dashboard. So I'm able to link that question to sales trend and forecast, which is built in the dashboard. In this case, this is a great use case where you can help that customer move forward by linking this particular answer. This is pretty neat. So now when the user asks this question, show me sales forecast in EMEA, they're able to get that answer. So as you can see here, users provide feedback, you're able to address those, you're able to make improvements to the topic. This is pretty powerful. This kind of feedback loop mechanism that you're able to see gives you super valuable insights into what you need to do. Now let's look at the final tab here, verified answers. As an author, you can look at most commonly asked questions and you can mark them as reviewed. They get that check mark on the left-hand side. So when your reader asks this question and sees that answer, they have a sense of trust or confidence that, oh, this answer has been reviewed by someone in the BI team. So as an author, you can go through and look at all the activity and look at what questions are most commonly asked. You can verify them or review them. So the last thing I want to call out here is sometimes your users might ask questions that is not supported in your data or in your topic. In those situations, you can guide the user. So you can say, for example, let's say you want to know information about target or goals, which you don't have in the data set. So you can add a keyword here and say target. And every time a user asks questions about this metric, as you see here, Q will give you an answer, or Q will guide the user with an answer that says, we don't support this. So for example, show me sales and target for APJ. Now it says, we don't support questions about target. Now the user at this time has the ability to tell the topic owner, why they need it, or what is the value of having that field. So the user can now go through a list of drop-downs and see, is the answer irrelevant? Was the question misinterpreted? Was the graph type wrong? What was exactly wrong with that? And the user will be able to select that option and then provide comments to the topic owner. And so now this gives super valuable insights for your author. Well, the author needs to bring that field from the data warehouse or the data sources and then build it into the topic. So you see that feedback right away in your topic. Need target data, and it was a negative feedback. And as you can see here, now the author has inputs into what he needs to build. You can go through further questions. As you can see here, you can mark them as reviewed. These show up as getting started questions for your end users. Isn't this great? So as you're going through the topic, you're able to look at, you share your topic with some pilot users, you see their activity, you're able to understand what insights are they really looking for, and you have the option to verify and fix a lot of these. I also want to call out, we've rolled out 6 sample topics. So when you do enable Q on your account, you're able to install these sample topics today and take a look at the entire topic configuration and ask questions. So this concludes the demo portion of how easy it is for an author to be able to set up a topic and enable natural language capability for your end users. So with Amazon QuickSight Q, you're really enabling business intelligence for everyone in the organization. Because Q is natural language enabled, as you saw here, there's no syntax to learn. Anyone in your organization can start asking questions on their data and get meaningful insights. And these insights are generated right away. You don't have to wait for anyone to pre-build those visuals. So business users can analyze more data and get faster insights than ever before. And Q allows people to self-serve. It really empowers them to self-serve and get these insights. And lastly, Q can be embedded, just like QuickSight can be embedded. Q can be embedded into your applications. There's a session tomorrow that will discuss QuickSight embedding in more detail. So with Amazon QuickSight, anyone can leverage data. Through its machine learning powered capabilities, you can truly drive data-driven cultures. You can turn data into an easily accessible organizational asset, regardless of your background or skill set. You can make data-driven decisions. I also want to leave you with some resources so you can learn QuickSight Q more. We have our QuickSight Q documentation page where it walks through in detail how to set up a topic and bring your data set in, and it gives you a lot more details about this end-to-end configuration. There is a video that you can watch. It goes over the 5 easy steps that I just talked about on how you can build a great QuickSight Q topic. You can also watch a virtual author workshop that actually takes you through end-to-end and also goes into some of the more advanced topic modeling, like named entities, filters, calculations, and so on. It's a great resource for you to look at to learn. And last but not least, Be sure to check out our community page at community.amazonquicksite.com. You can collaborate with other QuickSight users, ask questions, get answers, and also learn about new features. We have a session every week where we introduce new features and have topics on that. So we also want to encourage you to get engaged with our training and certification content today. Skill Builder is our online learning center where you can, as you can see, over 500 plus free digital courses are available. It also has customized learning plans in 16 different languages to meet your learning needs. Once you're building your skills, you can also get certified in AWS from anywhere from foundational to associate, professional, and specialty certifications. So make sure you scan those QR codes and you should be able to get started right away. And I'll just keep the slide there for just a few seconds here. Okay. I want to thank everyone who attended this session. I hope you found this session informative. And don't forget to complete the session survey. And I know we ended early, so I'll be available at the back of the room to answer any questions you may have on QuickSight Q. Thank you, everyone.